What up, guys? JP back at you once again, bringing you guys another episode of my entire DVD and Blu-ray collection. This is where I walk you guys through my entire collection, showing off and talking about each title as we roll through. We're currently still on the DVDs. This is episode number 15. Let's get going with Incubus. This is a film that I know nothing about. One of those cheapo Go Hastings pickups where it was like, $1 or something. Every once in a while, during Go Hastings sales, I'll just go nuts and pick up a lot of films that I'll probably never watch for a long time. I kind of almost want to put them in a separate section in my collection and then just slowly go through them. Like, this is my section where these films I'm kind of uninterested in, but I'll watch them because I bought them type section. So that's where Incubus would go. I don't know anything about it. If anybody thinks that it's good and worth checking out maybe a little bit sooner, I'll put it higher in my queue. So let me know in the comments down below if anybody's seen this and if it's worth watching. After that, we have Infestation. This one was pretty cool. I'm a big fan of killer bug movies. This one was kind of bad, but still had its moments to it. Much more like a comedy than anything. A lot of CGI and stuff, if I remember correctly, but I think they also had some practical effects. I think I did a review for this a while back. Maybe check that out if you're interested in hearing my opinions, because right now it's kind of foggy in my memory. But I do remember liking it, if I'm remembering correctly. After that, we have Infested, and this one I did not like. I think I rated it like a 1 or a 1.5 out of 10. It's not a good movie at all. Super bad, a lot of CGI, super bad acting. Oddly enough, I believe this stars Jackolantern, and his name isn't even on the cover. Of course, Jackolantern is from Gremlins 1 and 2, I believe. He was also from the Waxwork films, I think at least part 1, I don't know if he was in part 2, and of Hatchet 3. So, I mean, he's done some decent horror films. This is not one of them. Super bad insect movie. I do not recommend it at all. A while back I did a little video series called 7 Days of Insect Horror where I reviewed this one as well. So if you are interested in hearing my full opinions on this, go back, track that video down on my channel. I'm sure it's, a bad review because this one just stands out in my memory as super bad. After that, we have Inside. I've still not watched this yet. I have it sealed. I'm saving it for when we do the Fab 5 French show on the podcast. Man, this is one that I've heard so many good things about that I'm almost tempted to just crack it open and watch it. Because every time I talk about this movie and I mention I haven't seen it, everybody's like, dude, you haven't seen Inside yet? What the hell's wrong with you? Dude, check out Inside. Are you serious? You've never seen Inside? You're a horror fan and you haven't seen Inside? I've heard it to no end. This is probably the most, surprised film. When I say I haven't seen it, people are the most surprised. It's crazy. And I can't take it anymore, so I cannot wait to cross this one off the list eventually so people can leave me alone about not seeing it. But we're going to have to wait a little bit longer. After that, we have Intruder. This is the $2.95 Dollar General edition. This is the full moon release. And, after buying this, I think I found out that the Blu-ray is a uncut version, so it really kind of pissed me off. And I don't know if I'll ever watch this because of that reason. Because I feel like if I watch it, I'm going to be mad because it's cut. So I'm going to need to upgrade in order to probably watch this one. So that bums me out a little bit. I hear good things about it. I think this is the one that's set in the supermarket. It's a slasher film, which that is awesome. I love seeing, it's like a little capsule, a time capsule when you see all these different food labels and drink labels from yesteryear, and it really just feels nostalgic to me, and I love that. So I definitely want to check this one out, but I'll probably have to wait till I grab the Blu-ray. After that, we have Invitation to Hell, Wesley Craven. Not one of his best films, kind of a weird film, dealing with a little bit of technology and stuff. It's kind of like a cult film. We're dealing with a, this hierarchy of successful business people who kind of have this country club thing that's sort of like a cult. It's kind of weird. It really wasn't that good. Had its moments. I would be curious to maybe see, watch the film again. I don't know, maybe if there was like a commentary with Craven or something, kind of hear his mindset in this film. I think it was a TV movie. Not really sure. Really not that good. Very forgettable. Nobody ever really talks about this one when they talk about Wes Craven. So it is sort of like an oddity and a little bit of a interesting discussion point since nobody talks about it. Wouldn't mind really, rewatching it and having a discussion with somebody else who's seen it and maybe kind of talk about one of Wesley Craven's lesser known films, Invitation from Hell, or Invitation to Hell. After that, we have a bootleg here. This is Elsa, She-Wolf of the SS. Man, I love this. This is really cool. I like the Nazi exploitation, prison camp type movies or whatever. And Elsa is pretty badass. I would really like to get that box set, but it's super out of print. I would like to get the other Elsa films as well. This is actually a bootleg. I don't know where I got this, but this is a damn good bootleg. Whoever threw this one together did a great job because, I mean, the cover looks like a actual released cover. So does the back. It's a good released bootleg, but I don't buy bootlegs. I actually got this in a contest or something. I'm not 100% against them. Like, if the film has never had a release, by all means, I'll pick up a bootleg. But I'm definitely not something that I'm gonna seek out. And I do like the higher end bootlegs because, let's face it, we like cover art. We like our releases to go on our shelf and stuff. And this is a higher end one, and it's a film that's kind of a little bit hard to get. I will eventually, hopefully these films get maybe a Blu-ray treatment or something sometime in the future so I can get rid of this bootleg and get an official edition. But I really want to see the other Elsa films. After that, we have Stephen King's It, and I love this film. It's one of my favorites. So surprised that it's still not on Blu-ray. This is a Warner Brothers, so I wouldn't be surprised if it hits there eventually. Awesome film, man. I mean, it is a classic. It's a scary Stephen King movie. One of the better Stephen King movies. One of my favorite Stephen King movies. The first part of the film, it's a TV miniseries. The first part is much stronger. The second part has that terrible ending, but even with that terrible ending, I think it is among the best in terms of horror, scary movies. You can show any kid this film and it'll terrify them. I love that about it. It's such a unique story too. It's really cool, and it really does just have one of the worst endings. It's such a downer moment because the whole film is near perfect, and then you have this ending that is just like, wow. But yeah, I mean, man, I could watch this all the time. It's really one of my favorite horror films ever made. That's Stephen King's It. After that, we actually have another copy of It. And I've only kept this because I've had it for so long. It's in the snapper case. This was the first version of It that I had, and then I ended up getting this in a giveaway or, with a horror DVD lot or something, and it's a much sturdier case, so I decided to that will be my main version, but I just haven't done anything with this. It might be a good time to pass it on to somebody else or something like that, but it's a little beat up. It's these cardboards always seem to wear not very good over the years. They kind of get a lot of wear and tear, but same thing. After that, we have Jack Brooks' Monster Slayer. This one I was a huge fan of. To me, it was always one of those films that I completely just had no interest in watching, and that's simply because it was this weird sort of horror comedy, and that's not really my thing, but I ended up loving it. I thought it was really fun. I remember talking about it early on in the 22 Shots podcast, like within the first 5 episodes. It might have been even the first episode, and really kind of thought this one was a cool little horror comedy. I think it might be a Canadian film. I definitely recommend it for those of you who haven't seen it. I wish they would have made some sequels to it. It's just this fun movie. It's just a lot of fun. Really like Jack Brooks' Monster Slayer. After that, we have Jackolantern. Oh man, this one is awful. This is one of the worst movies I've ever seen. I give it like a 1.5 out of 10. Just absolutely horrid. I picked this up a long time ago at out of business video store for like $1, and even $1, it's not really worth it. I can't really say anything about it. I watched this, I think, last year for Halloween, for my review on body bags, and just, struggled to get through it. I never shut movies off, but, I think about it sometimes, and this is one where I was like forcing myself to watch it. It's one of those films where every 2 minutes you have to remind yourself to pay attention, because your mind just drifts because it's so unentertaining. Don't recommend Jackolantern. It also goes by the title of Jacko, I believe. I could be thinking of another film though, so I guess I can't get confused. I might be getting it confused. After that, we have Jaws. Just covered this on the podcast. One of the best horror films ever made. So well done, so well acted. It's such a good film that I recommend it to anybody who maybe isn't a horror film fan, because it it appeals to all different people, all different fans of movies, people that don't like horror, even like Jaws usually. So I always recommend that one. If you haven't checked it out yet, check out episode number 52, I believe, of the 22 Shots of Moods and Horror podcast. That is where we discuss the entire Jaws franchise. You can find it on www.22shotsofmoodsandhorror.com, or on Moods' channel, or on iTunes, wherever you want to check it out. Just, definitely listen to that episode. It was a lot of fun. Jaws also made our Hall of Fame, which is pretty cool. Jaws is a classic. After that, we have Jaws 2, which the guys really was down on. I was a bit down on it as well, but I seem to like it a little bit more than them. It's just so damn slow, it feels like, and really is just a huge step down from the first Jaws, and I was expecting to like this one a little bit more, especially because I think I remembered seeing it on Monster Vision, but then again, I liked anything I seen on Monster Vision because Joe Bob would talk about it, and it was always fun hearing him talk about it. I don't know really what to say about this one. Listen to my review on the podcast. After that, of course, we have Jaws 3. Jaws 3, the guys seem to like a little bit more than me. It's a terrible movie. They had fun with it because it's so bad it's good. It was just more bad than so bad it's good for me, but there was some moments that were funny. Man, just a huge decline. It's really sad to think about like how awful these films got, and they get even more awful with the inclusion of Jaws: The Revenge. This is a awful movie. This actually made our Hall of Pain, which is the opposite of our Hall of Fame. It's for the worst of the worst movies. Man, this one was a struggle to get through for me. I mean, it's just a total opposite of quality when you compare it to the first film. It's when kind of sequels have got a bad rap for being, such lesser versions of the original films. Jaws and the Jaws sequels were kind of the ones to set the standard and kind of put all that into motion, because those films are the truest example of just cheap cash-ins that are so much of lesser quality, and Jaws 4 is the worst. After that, we have Joyride. Man, this is a fun film. I kind of been wanting to rewatch this lately. I need to pick up the 2 sequels because I've still never seen them. And, but that first one is damn good. It really is. It surprised me how good it actually is. And even though it's kind of sort of one of those like mainstream films, it's very effective. It's a good time. The character Rusty Nail is really well developed. It's a good villain. I like it a lot. Paul Walker does a great job. Very well acted. Feels a very A-list type of film, which we haven't really got a whole lot of those in terms of horror lately. At least any good ones. So it's nice to kind of reminisce on the days where there was still like good A-list horror movies, and this was one of them. Joyride. After that, we have Jeepers Creepers 1 and 2. Jeepers Creepers is the shit. Jeepers Creepers 2 I actually really enjoy as well. Some people just really don't like these films, but I think they're like modern classics in a way. I mean, these are horror films that are probably going to go down as, some of the better horror films of the decade. And I think they're just not old enough to really get that true respect yet. But these films are going to eventually get it. These are good movies. I know some people are a little you know, lukewarm on the sequel, but I think it's just as strong as the first one. I mean, these movies are scary too. I remember watching the second Jeepers Creepers when they're all on the bus and the creeper's just on the outside. And Victor Salva, man, he fucked up so bad by molesting those kids, because he could have been one of the best horror directors of modern times, but he just has this stigma to his name, and he deserves it because he's a scumbag, but he makes good movies. He understands horror, and that's what's so fucked up about the situation, is he makes good movies and you want to hate him, but you like his movies, so it's this weird dynamic. Both the Jeepers Creepers are good in my opinion. After that, you have Jeepers Creepers 2, which actually had this before I had that, you know, double pack. This one actually has a lot of special features on it, so I actually held on to it. I bought this one simply for the you know, first film. I guess this second film actually has all the features that this disc does, but I held on to it simply because the first film or whatever, and you know, I like having editions by themselves. I remember when I first seen this, man, that scene right on the cover with the scarecrow scared the piss out of me, dude. That was really effective. I love these movies. I would love to cover them on the podcast. Maybe that's something we should do soon. These are definitely, maybe I do a director's spotlight on Victor Salva. That would be an interesting topic, right? So Jeepers Creepers 2. After that, we have Juan of the Dead. I've never seen this, but I've actually heard decent things about it. It is one of those zomcoms. I think this is, I forget what country this came out of, but you know, it seems to be some sort of South American country. Juan of the Dead, you know, it's like Shaun of the Dead, but it's Juan of the Dead. I don't know, man. You guys know I'm not the biggest fans of these things, but I will give it a shot eventually. And finally, for this part, we have The Jungle, and it's still sealed. I literally bought this for the green case. Like, as soon as I seen the green case, I was like, I'm buying it. I never watched it. It's funny because, like, as collectors, these green cases just stand out, and we just want one for our collection. So this is like my only green case DVD, and it was well worth it because I like the way it looks on the shelf. You can even see the green sticking out when you look at the cover from the spine. I'll watch it eventually. I've actually heard a lot of bad things about it, but I do really like this director's other films. He did The Reef and he did Black Water, both very good, but unfortunately I do hear this one's not as good, so I will check it out eventually, but I'm not, you know, it's not on my short list or anything. So see you guys next time with part number 16. Thank you for watching, thank you for commenting, thank you for subscribing. See you guys next time.